TJ, yesterday I was with some dads, part of the team I coach, and they said, I love that vision of Nathan Brown with the red leads ending. Sorry. Red leads ending, sorry. I've got that wrong again. Anyway, but here it is, and I've got something to go off the back of it.
Triple M Red Lead's ending stats. Ash is with us. That's to everybody who helped us out. Put this to get out to the end of the art. I'm going to finish off with Damien Harvick on the Triple M Harvick on no replay screen.
So they love it, right? They love it, and they replay.
You butchered it.
I did butcher it myself. So I go in whichever segment during the week I'm happy to cop it. But we've got one to add to the list that happened during the week where TJ threw Tom Morris under the bus in a cross. He wasn't ready for it. And let's try and see what Tom was trying to say when he was scrambling for words.
Okay, Tigers, you got some selection news there.
The Tiger. What selection do you have to say about the Tiger? Richmond's welcome out back at some plays, but the selection news I have is around Tom Stewart. I'm out back at some plays, but the selection news I have is around Tom Stewart.
You're not the master at throwing people under the bus when they were ready, but he was absolutely scrambling.
No, I've got to Tom's defence.
Subtitle.
I can't. We're going to have a look at that again. I didn't realise
that hair stuff seeking in.
Sorry?
For Tom, is it?
Can we go with that again, TJ, before you get... Can we see that again, Tom Morris, if we can roll that again?
I love the subtitles.
Tigers, you got some selection news there.
The Tiger. What selection do you have to say about the Tiger? Richmond's welcome out back at some plays, but the selection news I have is around Tom Stewart. I'm going to snort plays, but the selection news I have is around Tom Stewart.
Give it a snort like Browny.
I believe that was so highly sought after. I wasn't allowed that for mediocre. Taking it,
No, can I just, in Tom's defence, I did throw him under the bus because we actually had an auto cue there, which normally we wouldn't have, actually. But anyway, and it had the Tigers thing, but that was my next intro. I thought it was a prompt for Tom. That's why I mentioned the Tigers.
Come on, Tommy.
Anyway, Tom will be back to butcher the English language on Footy Furnace. Actually, I think he did it in the news on Thursday night when he tried to say cumulative.
Thursday night, the Pies, 14 points. They had a lot of players out. They got the job done. Carlton, 15-point winners over St Kilda. The Hawks did it all late against the Demons, and the Bombers held on against the Sydney Swans. The Dogs came home hard. Gold Coast kicking the last goal of the game. And another close one last night in the Showdown. The Crows by 5 points, and that was a ripper.
All right, let's have a look at the ladder.
Back of that big win on Thursday night, TJ. Stays top of the ladder for the moment. Brisbane Lions today, game against North Melbourne, should be back in top spot by close of round 9. Hawthorn just going really, really nicely at 7-2, and we'll speak to Lloyd Meek shortly. Gold Coast, game up its sleeve with a 6-2 scoreline. Essendon equally, game up its sleeve with 5 wins now out of its past 6 matches. And as we turn the page, there's already, TJ, a long road back for some of those clubs down the bottom.
Sorry, Nathan?
Just saying, he doesn't have to go through every team on the ladder. There's a lot of them.
You're ruthless. Ruthless this morning, isn't it? You're just a rude little man. Listen, this is why you're just clinging at the moment, Ladra. This is why you're just clinging at the moment. Hey, look, Rory Sloane hasn't taken long to assert his influence here on the Sunday Footy Show. He has demanded we kick off with Showdown.
Well, it was so good, TJ. It was so good it warrants a Thursday or Friday night clash in my eyes, I think, because everyone loves a rivalry. And we all do. We love rivalries in the game, and I think everyone wants to see this rivalry on free-to-air TV. But it was just a hot contest. Normally I'd say in Showdowns, if you win the contest, you win clearances and tackles, or that tackle number as well, you win the game. Port won the contest and clearances convincingly, but they couldn't quite get it done, and it was because of the Crows' potent forward line. This was an incredible game-saving mark from Mark Keane last night, but the Crows held on late from a power surge.
It was a great game of football, and well done to the Port Power, who were appalling last week in Ballarat, and they bounced back hard. Had a lot of players out, some players I thought that came into the side that potentially would make this a 6 or 7 goal beating, but they just wouldn't go away. Fought back hard late with a better side in the last quarter, but good sides find a way to win, and the Crows are a better side this year.
And I think it's great that we sit here as Victorians, except for Rory, but we love Showdown,
love it,
you know, which says a lot about the national competition. We're not as parochial as some might think. I think, and I agree with you, as Damo does and everyone else, that a Thursday night, Friday night slot would be warranted.
I feel it's the best rivalry by some distance now in the whole AFL system.
Well, it's probably just been consistent, hasn't it? It's lasted a long time. There's been consistently close games and so many big moments, which we touched on last week in the lead-up, where, like Rochelle's incident last year, Houston's bump, they're all these things that keep popping up in showdowns.
What about Thilthorpe? Like, I can't believe what he does to AFL defenders. Like, he treats them like he's playing, like he's an under-14 playing against the under-12.
He does, doesn't he? I thought he was incredibly stiff not to win the Showdown medal last night. Rosie and Butters was very good, but this man's first half was incredible, and we'll get him on and chat about it a bit later too. But when he gets a run and jump at it, no one's going to stop him, Llordo. He's so big and strong.
I must admit, I don't, because you're a teammate of his, I thought, I'm not sure how good this bloke's going to be, but did you know straight away or not?
I think I said earlier in this show, or classified early in the year, that he's going to be one of the best players in the comp this year. I just was that confident in the way he prepares, how big his frame is, and the raw talent he has. Most people don't know, he runs under a 6'10" 2K'er. He's
good aerobically, isn't he?
Yeah, one of our fittest players. He's unbelievable at ground level. The challenge is, do you play him up forward, but he's so good in the ruck too.
He's a beast.
So he is a beast.
Sixth season as coach for Matthew Nicks, and we can see the progression up the ladder that is now expected in 2025. 6 wins, 3 losses. There's also a 1-point loss to Gold Coast amongst that mix. Are we believing yet, 100%, that they're going to be at the pointy end?
I think, speaking to the boys, they certainly believe. I definitely believe. I think they'll challenge finals. They won't just make it. They'll certainly challenge in that finals campaign. But I've been impressed with their last month. Their first month, leaking a few too many goals. This last month, they've really tightened up their defence and restricting a few sides.
Can I ask you about this? Obviously, there was a big lead up to this showdown, specifically centred around Willie Rioli. Would have he been the difference?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a couple of goal difference. He's a 3-goal player per game. And for me, I don't love that this is still lingering around. I can only imagine now the criticisms he's copping online. I think he may even got off Instagram this week. So for me, it's not his fault that he didn't get sanctioned. So I think this could have all been avoided if there was a sanction on Monday. Absolutely. Just come over the top and gone, yep, we want to stamp that sort of thing out of the game. But it feels like it's lingered on too long for me. And, yeah, I now worry about Willie.
And equally, the sanction didn't need to be, on Monday, a match suspension. It just needed to be a strong statement from the AFL, as opposed to the one that they did issue, and that was, we're letting the 2 football clubs work it out. Because that ultimately, to use a phrase that Chris Davies of Port Adelaide used later in the week, that created the pylon of other teams and even media looking behind the scenes on this. And to Rory's point, I agree 100% with Rory, that had the AFL acted on the Monday in a meaningful way, the week wouldn't have unfolded the way it did. And I know there's a care and a sensitivity that's needed to be placed upon the Willie Rioli specific situation, but he was placed ahead of the industry when it came to the disciplinary requirements around what he did. Just to remind people, a threat after the game through social media to a Bulldogs opponent.
Well, I think a non-suspension would not have appeased the footballing public or the football media.
But it would have been more than they did, TJ.
Was a week enough?
The Giants players in pre-season, how they got, there was 4 weeks for, how do they weigh up really early, no suspension, but a young player, 4 weeks? I don't get
well,
where
what would have you given Willie Rioli?
Well, I think it would have been, it has to be in line with that. It has to be 4 weeks.
And
that might be harsh. But for an example, if I sent a message to someone in our industry and those messages became public, I mean, would I be sitting here next week on this panel as a panel member? I don't know. I don't think I would be. If I was, and those messages became public, I just think it deserved a little bit more, and I think it deserved 4 weeks in line with what the Giants players got at the start of the year.
And I think back to Rory's point, I think he's been crying out for help in a bit. I've seen an angry, frustrated Rioli all year. So I think maybe this is the point where it might be not the worst thing. He's behaved poorly, and they've admitted that, but maybe taking a week out just to reset himself is a good thing.
And he admitted that too, right? He came out and said, I messed up, but as I've mentioned before, it's not his fault that he didn't get sanctioned. So,
But all we want was the AFL to be consistent. And consistent time after time, and at the moment, they're not consistent, and then that creates the talking points around it.
But now that the sanctions been put in place, everything's out on the table. The priority now is his welfare. So that's what should happen now, and get off social media. I mean, the keyboard cowards do nothing to help in mental health. I want to move on now. The Gold Coast Suns. Can I ask about Damien Hardwick? I mean, Is he the only bloke who could have got them to this position at the moment? I mean, it is a masterclass in coaching, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, look, there may have been other candidates, TJ, but what he is doing is having them be competitive. Now, they withstood a really late challenge from the Western Bulldogs last night in Darwin. The 4 goals that the Bulldogs kicked got them really, really close, but they're able to regroup, and ultimately, through Ben King kicking a goal, even after that scoreline you can see on the screen there, they're able to win well. And with the game up their sleeve, Rory, it's a great situation to be in. And to TJ's point, he has helped transform them around in his second season.
Absolutely, and they just beat the best side in the comp. I think, or one of the best or most informed sides in the comp anyway. But they love that stadium. That's 7 in a row for them up there, and they're becoming really tough to beat up there, Llordo.
Yeah, and the word tough is right. They are a tough team, the Gold Coast Suns, and I love their last minute and a half because the Dogs were coming hard. And this is sensational from Powell. So he leaves his man. He knows, I just have to leave because this player is breaking out. So sensational. A lot of these players are out of sight, out of mind. And I just thought they played with great composure, these young Gold Coast Suns side. So even this from Walter, he taps it down, gets it to Matty Rowell. Rowell has composure. He drops the mark. But rather than just hacking it forward, he still thinks there's a minute 4 on the clock. I don't need to panic. I don't need to rush myself. I don't want to give up a cheap possession, and he just runs it out of bounds. Thought that was really smart footy. The Suns then kick a point. Look at this from Brodie Hewland. What a player he's become. You know, if he played for a Melbourne-based club, we'd talk about him a lot more. We do already because he's a star. But look at the pressure, the hunt. They don't want to lose this game. Johnny Noble, he's come to the club for his experience. Look, the pressure that they are applying. He's not going to let this ball get out. They outnumber. He had nothing to give there at ground level. And then you see the composure to go forward. King get O'Donnell out the back, and they mark and kick that ball. So could have easily lost that game. They found a way to win because of the maturity they now have.
Terrific stuff, Llordo. Essendon got the better of the Sydney. How long have you been working in television? You really are a silly little man, aren't you?
He's keen.
Essendon got the better of... You walk straight in front of the camera. Essendon got the better of the Sydney Swans. And Nathan... Oh, Nathan's at the plasma.
I forgot about that camera there. OK, Sydney have lost their ability to defend, and they used to be a hard team to play against. But I'm going to show you the ripple effect. 3 goals from defensive 50 early. So this is Andy McGrath. Have a look at 2 players right there. They should be not allowing him to run forward. But watch now how long Andy McGrath has to just run up the field. Nobody decided they wanted to put any pressure on him. Have a look. So that then creates a ripple effect. He has to come forward. Now the handball goes over the top. Now these players have to come forward. And it's just a ripple effect. So they get the ball out here. Another player has to come forward. Ball goes over the top. Eventually kick a goal. That happened 3 times. Sydney have lost the ability to defend.
Lost the ability to defend and lost the ability to win matches. They've only got 3 out of the 9. And it's about the time we can start making, I think, some calls on this particular club coming off the grand final harrowing experiences of 2024 and also 2022 as part of that. That man on screen, first-year coach taking over from John Longmire, and the inability, Llordo, to just maintain what they had maintained for the previous 3-4 years, and that is competitive form in every game. They're not that this year, and it's a bleak scoreline right now.
It is. So they've got injuries, and you'd love to see what their best players, you know, guys like Errol Gordon, Callum Mills, Tom Papley. Yeah, you lose players like that, it hurts. But you'd love to see them in to see whether it's Dean Cox struggling just to find the connection. First-year coach. They don't seem as organised as they've been under John Longmire, which is an issue.
In what sense, Llordo?
Well, I think players aren't defending the ground as well. Their ball movement going forward isn't as good. And I came in and Rory's about to show the clips. I described them as surgeons this time last year. Their ball use was as good as any side nearly I've seen. Aside from the Hawthorn sides who are winning premierships, and they fell away in the latter part of the year. Their forward line was always an issue, but because of the likes of Heaney, Gordon and Warner, they made up for it through their foot skills. And now, yesterday, they should have won that game, Rory.
They absolutely should have won that game. We'll look at some of that ball movement you're on about, because there was a lot of passages of play where you're thinking that they should score here. And in the last quarter, they had a lot of opportunities. We love seeing this from the Lizard Blakey. He'll follow up again after a little grubber, but even this, just that forward 50, just leans off the kick, and it's a missed kick. And they had 61 inside 50s for the game, Llordo. And some of them were wasteful, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. So this is normally where they'd finish. But they just turn the footy over. There's no doubt their forwards are a problem, and their handling shouldn't be playing, in my opinion. Aaron Francis shouldn't be playing. So there's no doubt they've got personal problems. But even this, the lack of cohesion. Take it forward.
Yeah, go at the game.
Go at the game, which they're not doing, or they're just turning the footy over.
Yeah, and they just burnt too many of these opportunities late, and they absolutely had their chances to get that game shut. And we would have seen, as you said last year, they were surging. If we pause here, they would have come through the corridor last year, especially at this stage of the game. 6:45 left. There's 4 players there, which means Essendon have the out number down back. And this last patch, I mean, they would have just used their handball. Look, there's 3 or 4 lined up behind, which again would give you that shoulders out entry or facing the game entry, which we love, and they would have been able to find a target. So just lacking some composure at the moment, and they want to see him come through the corridor a bit more.
Coming up in a matter of minutes, it is what caught my eye, and I'm nervous. I know Llordo's nervous. We're both doing a bit of plasma work with our what caught my eye.
And Llordo's got 4 items in his feed up. He's queued up
I'm
4
going
video
big.
items.
We did discuss that maybe we've been slightly off. So I must admit I've spent a lot of the week preparing.
Right, okay. All right. Well, I've had producers spending a lot of the week preparing mine. So if it backfires, you know who to blame. Hey, I want to talk about your coaching performance too in just a moment or two. But what about Hawthorn? We talk about coaching performances. This was an unusual one in some respects from Sam Mitchell.
Veteran players are on the agenda at the moment. Pendlebury side bottom, there are so many players. And this man, Jack Gunston, he is absolutely in the form of his life at the moment. I don't think I've ever seen him play better at this age. 2 years ago, he looks like he was injured and he was almost out of the game. But 3 goals, 4 yesterday. Could have had a big day. 10 score involvements, 19 goals in his last 5 or 6 games. And he's only second on the Coleman at the moment, but be right up there in All-Australian contention. And it's great to see all these veterans players that maybe were going to be exited out of the game just playing some absolute cherry-ripe football.
Browny, there's been so many storylines attached to Clayton Oliver in the past 2 years, and we got another one yesterday. This time he's now a tagger. Simon Goodwin explaining the reasons why.
Yeah, look, obviously had Viney set for Newcombe earlier in the week, and then Thursday, Viney pulled out, so we had to shift there. And Clayton, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to give him a role when Newcombe would be around the ball, and I thought Clayton did a great job. Newcombe's been in great form. He's a high quality player. Clayton's coming back into some form, and this gave him a real focus and what he could do for the team. And it is about, ultimately, what you do for the team. And I thought today he was outstanding.
Rory, did you like it? I mean, he certainly negated John Newcombe, but did he equally at the same time, I suppose, not have the same impact he may have had he played as an attacking midfielder himself?
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it's the word tag because I reckon it's a starting point for him and work off. And you're still a good enough player. We want you to beat him one-on-one. And Clayton actually started off his career playing this type of role. I remember he was an absolute bulldog at the start of his career. He's really tough to play on. He's so good in the contest that role suits him. Negate the opposition's best player, but then when you get a chance, go and get the ball yourself. When you lose, though, it puts pressure on because one of your better players is tagging, having 13 disposals. No Jack Viney. So are they getting enough around him if he's only being a tagging role? And their last quarters are a problem. I think the coaches, the leaders, the strength and conditioning, high performance will be looking at this and saying, OK, this is our last quarters. This is what we've scored, and this is what the opposition has scored. So you see the green.
That's more damning than I thought.
Wow.
Yeah, that is the only last quarter that they've won, where they scored at 36 against the West Coast, and they scored 33, but have lost every other last quarter, which is a problem. So I don't know, it's probably system and also something else they have to look at.
Well, I think you've got your own problems in that area, haven't you, with last quarter fade-outs? Your Halberry team.
Yes, we did. We had a few injuries too, but
No excuses, Lord.
Hey, but we did win the game, TJ. So
You're 16 points up with only minutes remaining.
Yes, that's right.
And won by
one.
Yeah, exactly.
One by one.
Yeah. And when I mentioned about Sam Mitchell, sort of a bit unusual. We'll speak with Lloyd Meek later in the program, but he had some interesting messaging in the breaks, did he not? He told the players they were boring him.
Boring him slightly.
Yeah. So interesting. We'll talk to Lloyd Meek about that. How did Carlton do it over the Saints?
Well, I think they've got a great defender coming in to help out Jacob Wiedering. And Nick Haynes was an All-Australian defender at the Giants, but I think he became a lazy defender at the Giants. Not anymore. Have a look at the way he's now not only just intercepting, but getting to contests and making a difference. Have a look at him here. Plays off his opponent, gets in boundary side so he can go left or right, but then closes them down. So when he was at the Giants, he wasn't doing this. He was becoming very lazy, just trying to get easy kicks. Have a look at how sharp he is here. He moves to this ball before anybody sees where it's going. He is at the top of his game at the moment, Nick Haynes. That can only help Carlton and it can only help Wiedering. Have a look at him ahead of Jack Higgins, who's a very good reader of the football. He comes forward, playing some amazing football at the moment, helping Wiedering. And if they play finals football, I think Nick Haynes is going to be a big part of it. And against Richmond in round 1, had an absolute horror show in his first game, but has been able to bounce back and put that behind him.
Browny, just on the Blues, so they're now 4-5, and they have a dream 5 weeks. When I say dream, I think they should at least win 4 of them if they're any good, and that would take them to 8-6 and be in a good position for the back half of the year.
Are they going to be the bolter team like we saw Brisbane be last year?
They still have to improve. I think they're defending extremely well, as Browny showed. Silvani in unbelievable
it's good to have him back, wasn't he?
Wiedering and Haynes, but they're still... could be going better through the forward line, but wasn't it good to see Mackay again playing well?
For the second
with
time in 3 weeks, impacting scoreboard late.
Yep, so they are the bolter, I think.
Speaking of, look at Nathan just stalking over there, like just not wanting to actually walk in front of camera again.
It was quite mediocre back there, wasn't it, when I walked through the camera?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, mate, if you throw enough stones, some are going to come back to you eventually, aren't they? On Thursday night, it was Collingwood and Freo. How the West was won. There's one name that jumps out.
And that's Jamie Elliott. So there was a time there where I thought, where's his career at? Because his body kept letting him down.
He's twice missed full seasons of football, Llordo.
Yeah, amazing. And he's also still, through that career, 5 times he's kicked 30 or more in a season. So he's always been a good player, but I think he's now become a big-time player. That's a 6-goal haul. He's in career best form at this age. You know, I think he's just around that 300 goal mark of his career now as well.
And the forward line being opened up without Mychek playing and McStay also there, I thought the way he teamed up with Bobby Hill in that particular game, it was 2 footballers with massive football brains, and you can just see, to your point, Llordo, what he's doing this year. He's getting better every single week, and 22 goals to this point of this season from those 6 matches.
He's a tough matchup, and you don't know whether to play a tall, small on him because he's so good.
Now, this is almost unprecedented here. Before we get to what caught my eye, you've got an absolute reservoir of positivity.
Yeah, well, what caught my eye can be quite negative, but and football in general, media can be quite negative. Let's have a look at some of the courage from the weekend so far. That is George Hewitt going back. He doesn't know what's coming. That is great courage. Again, have a look at Sam Walsh here. He knows already that kick is awful for me. I have to go back with the flight and does not flinch. Goes back and does what he needs to do. That is brilliant. Doesn't get highlighted enough. Mark Keane, what about this? Going back with the flight. That is an awful position in AFL football to be in. But he goes back. He takes what's coming. It didn't come in the end, but he takes the mark. And young Will Graham, have a look at this. Pops the shoulder out, hurts the shoulder. Still for the team. Late 2:44. Puts that shoulder in danger again and pats it out. Big pat on the back to all the players who put their head over the ball all the time. It's tough to do.
I like it.
Yeah,
all right.
Good.
OK, well, I tell you what, it's big when we've moved to the plasma. Roll the opener. It is time for What Caught My Eye. And I'll tell you what caught my eye through the week was a show that Nathan does, one of the few that he's still on. This one's in the back pocket, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, in the back pocket. There it is. Have a look at the size of your pockets. Like, what is going on there? They are the biggest pockets I've ever seen on a shirt.
Normal size pockets, Tom.
No, they're not. You could fit an army in those pockets.
Okay.
In fact, Stu, can you reel this in, please?
Oh.
Right, here we go.
He's gone plasma and a
unveil it,
mannequin.
unveil it. Right. OK, we're comfortable going with the mannequin gag, are we? Anyway, so let's have a look at what might actually be in your pockets. What can you fit in there? Here we go. Oh, here's the show reel that you sent Fox Footy that actually didn't quite work for you. They ended up going with Joey Montagna. So that's in there. What else have we got in here, Nath?
VHS too.
Let's dig. Oh, they're very deep pockets. Oh, this is the card you used to try and use before you smashed up that ATM at Kentucky. Do you remember that one there? So that's your card in there. What else we got?
Roast.
It's a roast.
Come on, Kate, let's get it out.
Oh, hang on. Here's some cling wrap, of course, because we all know you're just clinging at the moment, mate. You're just clinging at the moment, aren't you?
20 years and going strong.
So there it is. There it is there. Hang on. What else we got? What
on the other side?
Very big
He's on one
pockets.
pocket.
Hang on. There's your toothbrush for your baby teeth. OK. There you go. That's that. Now, what do we got in this pocket here? Hang on.
I don't know. Is there a ticket for you to Wimbledon?
What do we got here? What do we got here? Ooh. Interesting. Felix von Hoff, right? That's the man taking all your jobs at the moment. So there's your photo of Felix.
He's made that a thing, not you.
And there's one last item in here. Hang on, what's this? Oh, it's your Felix von Hoff doll. It's your little voodoo doll that you're sticking all the pins in there. You've got a lot. You've got a lot in those pockets, haven't you, little man?
Well sold, TJ.
Oh, great stuff, Tony. That was it.
I love the mannequin.
Plasma and a prop.
Plasma and a prop.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld.
Damo?
Now, on live TV, Llordo, as we know, we're never too far away, any of us, from a mental blank moment, and it's surprising it actually doesn't happen more often. Now, our favourite mental blank moment was 1997.
Oh, no.
Tim Watson failing to know the name of Greg Hutchison.
Oh, no.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll catch up with Demon coach. We got a party going on and it's
The music makes it.
That is our all-time favourite. Now, last
Did you
year,
get along with Tim?
I was the victim, Brownie, of a name being forgotten as well. Llordo loves this one. It was the great Eddie Maguire, who, despite knowing me for the best part of 30 years, TJ, just forgot my surname.
What a big week it's been in football. Matthew Lloyd, Damien, mate, unbelievable. I was literally thinking about what we're going to go through. We've got a huge list here. Damien Barrett.
Now, it's happened again, and this time it's happened where Eddie was forgotten. It was by Sam McClure on the Monday Footy Classified, promoting the Tuesday Footy Classified, of which Eddie is part, but he just failed to mention him.
Don't go anywhere, because tomorrow night we've got Footy Classified. Of course, Hurdy, Lloydie, Rory and Tom absolutely dominating. That's 9:45 live. Hurdy, Lloydie, Rory and Tom.
No. Look, Lloydie's not on Tuesday. Eddie Maguire's
Right
on.
next to you.
Good career move.
I knocked that back for mediocre, just to let you know, Ed.
Well, yeah, it was a tough week. I was struggling to find a bit of stuff, but I came across this bit of footage of...
Luke Ball?
No, Darren Lockyer, all right? We all remember this. Yep, he goes for a set kick and he slips over, and you'll see it one more time in a second here. It might be in the RMs, maybe. But, yeah, it can happen to the best of us, right? But my great mate TJ, he saw me looking over this footage. He goes, "Oh, you know who that reminds me of? It reminds me of Ed."
Oh, no.
I did not. And TJ's like, "Yeah, this is play on. I know you're on the show with him on Tuesday, but it's one of the all-time worst kicks." But
he does watch it.
He does, yeah, absolutely. But TJ told me it was fine, so he said, "No, it's fine to go with Ed because you're on the show with him Tuesday, didn't you, TJ?"
What do you got with Ed?
Go on, keep going. This is all news to me.
All right, so...
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, come on.
I tried to talk about frivolity last week and I didn't quite get it right, so let's have a look at it. Julie, $500 coming your way thanks to Sportsbet, so if you want to join the fun and frivolity here, wwws.9.com.au/brownies quiz. I don't know why I did that.
Hey, Siri, can you tell me the definition of frivolity?
So they say people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And it was amazing that something popped up during the week. And let's have a look at it.
Ross Lyon has delivered a scathing assessment of the AFL's tribunal assessment. Despite the MRO issuing a 4-match ban to Alex Tarou, instead, the youngster will serve a 6-week suspension. Something like that. Joel Kennedy explains.
OK, so I just want to go back. The punchline was at the end, but I just want to find out a certain word in the middle of what you were talking about.
Scathing assessment of the AFL's tribunal assessment. Tribunal assessment. Tribunal assessment.
Google, can you please tell me what assessment means? You idiot.
Oh, funny. There, Brownie, I loved off the top.
He's back.
Off the top, you said, I want to show some highlights of courage because what caught my eye can be quite negative. And I centre it around one man, the most negative man in the industry, and this is Damien Barrett. And we highlighted this around 3 years ago. Let's take a look.
I think there's so many dangers attached to it. It's not just...
Well, folks, he's done it. Damien Barrett's done it. He's done his 1,000th negative comment. Well done, Damo. The man who worked hard to get the win. He started in Brisbane. He came down to the Herald Sun. He went to Triple M in the AFL. He has been a journeyman with 1,000 negative comments. Well done, Damo.
So we also,
what am I up to now?
So more up to now is that Hutchie has often said that you're one of the great haters. When you hate, and you hate good and you hate hard. So I thought I'd compile Damo's Hall of Fame haters list. So where were we at here with Damo's Hall of Fame? So we've got Robbo there, we've got Bevo, we've got North Melbourne, who you grew up loving. We've got the Scots who they pinned you in Halloween and had you against the ropes. There's Lepich who threw a glass at you. And,
one argue Bevo, one argue Lepich.
And I was going to add to that because I heard something during the week that I've got a few more names to add to this list.
You tight?
How are we?
If you're at the footy and he walked into the media area, are you greeting him with a Damo and a handshake, or is it just a nod?
You want me to be honest?
Yes.
There's a lot of people in footy that are nice as pie to your face and then clip you behind your back, and I feel like Damo clips me a little bit.
Is that just a hunch, or is that you've
I'll wear a few clips here and there. Even that thing you just played's a little clip, isn't it? They're just little subtle ones. He doesn't miss me, put it that way. He doesn't miss.
Whoa.
It's got heavy.
Put him up. Put him up.
Take Kane off.
As the year goes on, I'm going to put a team together. So we've now got, I don't know where Robbo plays.
The Scots aren't there,
half-back flankers, centre half-back, a back pocket, a tagger. And Robbo might be the chairman of selectors. But we're working on that throughout the year. We'll put a team together for that.
Fantastic.
Great place to work.
What do you got against David King?
I didn't know I did.
Well, you do now. What about the look on his face?
It did change.
You're right, mate.
All right. On that note, we'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. I tell you what, Damo and David King, it's on. Ding, ding. Back right after this. Oh, he's off. He's off. Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. What about Adelaide Oval last night? A crowd of more than 50,000 turned out for Showdown, and it didn't disappoint, did it?
Just a great game of football, TJ. One of the better games of the year because of the two teams and the way they see each other and the build-up to it. And one of the best men on the ground and the best two players on the ground was Riley Thilthorpe, and he's been good enough to join us this morning. And Riley, can you please explain to us what it's like over there in Adelaide? I think many won't understand it. In a two-team town, what it's like to build up. So for you mentally, and then afterwards, what goes into playing in a game like this?
Yeah, it's obviously a pretty big build-up. It sort of divides the state, so it's always interesting the week before. But it's my favourite game of the year, no doubt, barring finals hopefully this year. But there's a lot of energy and it gets pretty heated, which just makes it a lot funner.
What's different about the Adelaide Crows this year to any other year you've been at the club?
Yeah, I reckon we've obviously been pretty young for the last few years, and boys are starting to get experience, get to that 50-game mark and beyond. Obviously the new recruits have been huge. Neil Bullen, Peets, Cummings, they've all been massive in giving us a bit more experience, and they've provided a lot for us. And
the way you won last night, you must be ecstatic where it was just an arm wrestle all night, momentum swings, and then they came hard at the end, but you're able to hold on. Like, is it even more satisfying to win a game like that?
Yeah, it was a great feeling. We've been on the end of a fair few close losses, so to come and win it was very nice. And a couple of blokes stood up late in the game to, with a couple of big moments, so it was really pleasing.
In previous years, if your opposition had 21 more inside 50s than you, you'd have to say that Adelaide would have been beaten by 8 or 9 goals. You don't want that many inside 50s against you, but you'd have to be happy, and the coach would have to be happy the way your defensive unit is standing up at the moment.
Yeah, I think the backs have done it all year. Was Keeney, they've all been massive. Maxi, all the backs stood up last night, and they were under the pump clearly with 22 more inside 50s, but they stood up really well.
Thorpe, and your season to date's been unbelievable. It's been great to get a clean run at it, but we all had you as best on last night too. Did you feel like you had a ripping game?
They had a pretty good first half, but yeah, I mean, all the boys came to play. We probably didn't play our best, to be fair, but a tough win like that is really pleasing, because we probably haven't done that over the last few years. We needed to be at our best, so it was a very pleasing win.
Rolly, your dedication to fitness and preparing your body to play the position you play, it's renowned in footy already. Can you just take us through the mindset you had last year when you were missing multiple weeks with your knee problem, and how that changed you and how it's made you a better player upon your return?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I had great people around me. Sliney was in rehab, and he's one that I really looked up to, along with Nick Murray, who are two of the hardest workers I've ever seen. So, it was unfortunate, but I definitely wouldn't change a thing. It just let me attack the things that I probably didn't get as much time to, like putting on a bit of size and getting the rest of my body right. So it was definitely a positive in disguise.
Yeah, and mate, the mids last night, it was good to win a little differently, because mids got absolutely cleaned up in clearances, but still managed to scrap out a win. But that'd be something we'd look to absolutely rectify next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicky was talking about it last night. Winning in different ways is a sign of a good team. So we just want to win however we can, and the mids will definitely go to work. And I'm sure we'll see a stronger performance against Collingwood this week.
With the start you've had, what are your expectations? Is it top 8? We need to play finals. Is it top 4? Are you good enough to win the flag?
We've skipped along there.
Trying to get a headline out of me. No, we just want to play consistent footy, and we've won 2 in a row now, so we want to make that 3 in a very exciting game against Collingwood this week, who are probably the informed team in the comp.
Give him a headline. Are you good enough to be top 4?
We're definitely pushing for it. We'll see how we go.
Hey, Riley, I'm fascinated by you and your story and the colossus and the beast that you've become. As I said, you're one of the best forwards in the game now. And that's something that not many will go through and say that about themselves through a season. But the decisions you made, the heartbreak through your knee injury, and then the work you've done to get to this point.
High praise.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to play my role, and I haven't played a full season in my career yet, so that's definitely the goal. And to play consistently, I just want my teammates to be able to rely on me and play my role and hopefully win a few more games.
You mentioned Josh Worrell a moment ago as part of the backline mix. What he's doing this year is quite extraordinary in the context of probably where he's come from and what your club needs him to do, isn't it? He was very good again last night.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. I reckon he's been building for a couple of years now. He had a really good year last year. Just got injured a couple of times, but he's just a bloke you love playing with. He does everything. He does the flashy marks and he's got a great left foot, but he also does the chase downs and the big smothers. So we all love playing with Woz.
Riley, just before we get the vote, sorry mate, I just wanted, the beard has become as much of you as your game itself. I know you shaved it off last year for the McGrath Foundation, I think it was, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in honour of your auntie, who waged a long battle with cancer. Will we see it come off again for a cause like that?
That was the plan, but it's getting tougher and tougher to get rid of it, to be honest. It's become more of my identity. But yeah, that's definitely the plan, I reckon. We'll look at that sort of mid-year and a bit later and see what we can do.
All right, good man.
The votes last night, TJ, Connor Rozee, outstanding in a losing side off half-back. He gets the 9. Riley gets the 8. I thought Zach Butters was brilliant for Port Adelaide as well. And that man Damo just touched on Josh Worrell, was in the votes again.
Best prize pack in the business coming up on the Sunday Footy Show. A family pass to Gumbaya World where water slides, thrill rides and wildlife collide. Just be careful of the quackers out there. A Het Fit membership, combined body weight and boxing for a full body workout. I think you're looking pretty good at the moment, but Het Fit membership, you'll be the best dressed on the golf course thanks to Clutch & Co. And we'll kit you out in Cat Star Brad Close's clothing band. Be Close, your swing, your style, and a box of Chrome Tour golf balls and a cap thanks to Callaway, and another 2 hats courtesy of Travis Matthew. Bar Fridges Australia are back for all your beer and wine cooling needs. Bar Fridges Australia is your one-stop shop. A pair of Aquillas, they are the best in the business. Premium footwear since 1958. Treat yourself to a batch of Daniel's Donuts. Book a delivery online today. TJ loves a free meal, so we'll give you one when you're in Melbourne. Platform 28, the best pub in the Docklands. A pair of Rick's eyewear that inspires confidence and elevate your wardrobe with the latest streetwear style from St. Goliath.
Rory will bring all that back for you, mate, on the flight home. So
won't fit the shoes in my luggage, TJ. He's got too big of feet. So
what size?
What size? 15, 16?
Yeah, 15, 16.
You know what they say about big feet, TJ?
Yeah,
big socks, mate.
Okay, all right, Rory, thank you. Right up there with you, kangaroo revelation. Hey, Riley, great to see you, mate. Thanks very much for coming on the program. You're welcome anytime.
No worries, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. All right, you are watching the Sunday Footy Show. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Rory. Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show as we turn our attention now to Hawthorn's win over the D's. The Hawks slipping back into second place on the ladder now. Rory, how'd they do it and who did it for them?
Yeah, it was a big game of footy. For 3 quarters, it was a ripping game. And I thought Melbourne played some absolute outstanding footy. And then Sammy Mitchell comes down, we'll ask Lloyd about it later, and says, "You're boring me, fellas, and I want to see some exciting footy." And that last quarter from Hawthorn was outstanding. Gunner, we've spoken a lot about Gunner over the last couple of weeks, but he's been enormous, the old boy. And Lloyd, welcome welcome to the show, mate. It's great to have you on here.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Lloyd Meek, of course, we're talking about.
And Gunner.
Sorry, I've got to get used to the whole nicknames and names sort of thing.
Yeah, and little things we call introductions when we've got a guest.
Yes. But good to have you, Lloyd. And so that last quarter I want to touch on anyway, but great finish to that game.
Thank you. Yeah, it took us a while to get our mojo back a bit. I felt like we were pretty, just the basics were letting us down early in the game, and Melbourne were good. I thought their pressure was really good, and they made it certainly hard for us. So, yeah, I think Sam's got a funny way of providing new motivations for players and providing a bit of variety when he speaks. So, yeah, I think he came out and said that we were boring him. And then at three-quarter time was a little bit like, this game's pretty hard to coach with how you're playing. So, yeah, be better, basically.
And your form this year has been outstanding. And we were chatting just off air earlier, but take me back to last year. You really felt settled once you got picked off form and not off injury?
Yeah, I think so. I think just once the team backs you in and the coaches put you behind the helm and say this is your role and you've got to own it. And then from there, able to snowball and one game leads to another. And as we know in footy, it's never all on the way up. But once you get that opportunity to sort of keep rolling and keep growing as a player, and then the mids around you start to trust you more in the team. And yesterday was a tough day against Big Maxi. He's obviously a superstar, but I'm feeling better and better. And each week I'm going to keep learning and keep getting better, hopefully.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, the motivations you referred to a moment ago, your personal ones were going up against a guy who's already 7 times All-Australian and is positioned to become an 8th time. How'd you go in that game yesterday, and how have you gone with him in the past?
Yeah, it's I've obviously got a lot of respect for Big Maxi, and I've watched him as a junior and growing up through my early days as an AFL player, looking up to him for a long time. So always was going to be a big job, and he got the better of me, but going to learn a lot from it and take away a lot. And I think when you're a 7-time All-Australian, 8-time was it?
7, going for 8 this year.
Yeah, 7-time All-Australian. Everyone's going to be trying to knock you off your mantle each and every week. So credit to him. He's a superstar and he's good at what he does. So hopefully next time I can take it one step further.
Does he say anything to you at all? Is there any banter between the two of you?
I've actually gotten to know Maxi pretty well. We live and go to the same dog park, so run into him a fair bit down the street. So not too much yesterday. Had a bit of a chat to him after the game, but I think once we crossed that white line, it was a battle.
You're a competitive beast, but your running ability as a ruckman, I think I showed some footage of you earlier on in the year, just charging through the middle of the ground, getting back. Is that your other biggest asset, your running ability as a ruckman?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's I got to thank you, Browny, for going into bat for me when everyone was up against you, mate. I think that I can do it, and I got to believe that I can start to test my opponents. It's changed a little bit because being the only rucker, when you ruck all the way all over the ground, and I don't really go forward that much anymore apart from when I'm in the ruck. So it's definitely a bit more fatiguing, and you have so many more contests and wrestling and whatnot, so it takes away from it. But do a long pre-seasons and a lot of training over off-season to be able to build that repeat capacity to wrestle and run. And it's 2 pretty big assets that rucks in the modern game need to have. So.
Lloyd, one more on Max Gawn, because we haven't had a ruckman come in to just really fully explore what he's like to play on. What worries you more? Is it the hand stuff, centre bounce, or is it that aerobic capacity and his marking ability? I know it's probably both, but what is it that you have to focus on most when playing on him?
Yeah, I think the big ones are centre bounce and the aerial work. I think around the ground, ruck craft-wise, we were sort of pretty 50-50. It was probably more that centre bounce you really started to get some dominance, and then aerobically I can go with him, but once they kick, you can see their eyes looking for him, and once they kick the ball to him, he's pretty hard to stop in the air. So I think I even gave away a couple of free kicks and stuff. Just there's sometimes where your hands are a bit tired, and that's all part of the craft as well. We do a lot of work on our aerial marking, so they're probably the 2 main ones.
Sam Mitchell, you touched on him. What makes him? Have you ever come across a coach like him in his ability to tap into the mindset of players?
Yeah, no, not really. To be honest, that's probably one of his biggest strengths is he knows exactly what the players need to hear. And he's so good at being able to control the narrative around games and wins or losses or whatever the situation might be. He's so good. Even the trivial stuff around, like when he was a player, like the superstitions or whatever it might be, he's just so relevant and really able to motivate the players in different ways. I think that's one of his biggest strengths.
And I just want to ask you about Weddle. So the the scope for improvement. He's just an absolute weapon in regards to his ability to play back, forward, his running capacity. Just your thoughts on him as a player?
Yeah, we'll talk about running capacity.
Yeah.
He's one of our best. He wins our time trial every year, and he's been my fellow ruckman as of late. He's backing me up in the ruck as well. He's pretty much playing every position on the ground. He hasn't come inside as a mid yet, but no doubt he'll want to explore that at some point. So he's a workhorse. He works so hard, and he's obviously silky skills, and yeah, he's got a massive ceiling. So very, very excited to watch him grow and develop and to be able to play alongside him.
Lloyd, you were speaking off air before. You're getting close to completing your tertiary course, commerce. Getting close to it?
Nearly there. Yeah, it takes a while, chipping away part-time, but it'll be 8 years to finish a 3-year degree at the end of this year. So
it's a good effort, though, to combine that with your elite sport.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. And we're lucky with the opportunities the AFLPA gives us. And, yeah, I think in the modern day, everyone knows how important life after footy is. So, yeah, always important to chip away where you can.
And you're rolling the 2 watches. Is one just purely a heart rate monitor? I know Damo rolls 2 phones around.
I actually didn't even think of that. Yeah, I got a birthday present that tracks your sleep and stuff, and the other one's just my normal watch.
Is that a sleep? Big focus on the sleep at the club as well?
Yeah, we definitely. I think in the modern game, you're looking for any edge you can. So, yeah, anything you can do to keep getting better. So to track, you can't think into it too much because then you're lying there thinking, when am I going to go to sleep?
I'll tell you what I can't help but think when I see you play and you're wearing the number 17, albeit not a long sleeve, but a very famous number there at Hawthorn, as most of them are. Michael Tuck, has he been some sort of a mentor to you?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I always am able to have a good chat to Tucky when he's in and around the club, and we're lucky that he's around a fair bit, which is good. So being able to present me my jumper a couple of times, and it's pretty surreal. Every time I walk in our locker room, we've got premiership cups above the number 17, and there's 7 of them. So I think I was joking earlier that I better get rolling if I'm getting any chance to catch him. But yeah, superstar person and pretty funny guy and a great person to have around the club.
And you have a story to tell about the Lloyd name. Where that's coming.
You want to bring this to end here, mate? Are we settling this here, please?
Have a look at him.
Get on it,
I think that one day when the other Lloyd was playing, Mum had me in her belly and he kicked a couple of snags, and apparently I started kicking a bit.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
My new favourite player, TJ.
Come on.
But they already liked Lloyd.
That is a good story.
Not Matthew. Not Matthew though. They wouldn't have called.
That's quite the honour, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll make great game on the weekend. We'll get to the vote because Hawthorn are in ripping form. I thought Warple was outstanding. As I mentioned, Jack Gunston before, not Gunner. He's been in ripping form. Jaff and Sicily were also very solid. Mate, we can't wait to watch it the rest of the year. It's been incredible. I think everyone's excited to watch how Hawthorn will finish this season.
And also, Nathan just said, I need to ask you a question because he's embarrassed. What sort of dog have you got, Nathan?
And what sort of dog's Max got as well?
I've got a spoodle. I got a spoodle. I wanted a big dog, but my fiance wanted a small dog, so we compromised and got a small dog. And Maxie's got a border collie.
Yeah. And does it chase a ball? Because my dog does.
Yeah.
TJ.
Why do you ask two dogs? No. All right, let's
go to the break, Tony.
What about the prizes?
There's no prizes here.
Oh, OK, you're going to get those.
He gets
later.
the ball prizes.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of the Sunday Footy Show. What sort of dog?
He's on the handball later.
Oh, yeah, he's on the handball later, yeah.
Matthew Lloyd!
Last week it was Patrick Dangerfield. Today it's another current day superstar in Marcus Bontempelli. And what about his record, his CV? Is he the greatest dog that has ever played the game?
Yes.
29 years of age, Damo. Yeah, 244 games. Premiership player, 3 MVPs, 6 All-Australians, 6 best and fairest, chasing down Scotty West, who has 7. 3 AFL Best Captain Awards and been the captain since 2020. Let's take a look back at where it started. What a selection it was for the Western Bulldogs. So they picked him at pick 4. So Tom Boyd went at 1, Josh Kelly 2, Jack Billings 3, the Bont went at 4, Collar Jasny 5, Sharon Berg 6, Ace 7, Luke McDonald 8, Christian Salem 9 and Freeman 10. So it was a clear standout pick 4. And he was a bolter in that draft year. He wasn't quite playing strong or tough enough. I think one club told him, you don't pressure, you don't do enough of the hard stuff. And then he kicked 10 goals in a school game, I think, a week later and then bolted to...
Was that for Marcelin?
Marcelin, yes, it was.
Then he hit the ground running from his very first season in 2014, put together what has become an all-time great career, and he impacted the scoreboard early. You're about to see a goal that was goal of the year, basically. Somehow, I say somehow because Lewis Taylor had a really good year in that year. He was officially the rising star of the year, but I think a lot of people thought that this guy should have got it, and it's this type of goal in his first season of football. He managed to play the 16 games and kick basically a goal a game on average in that first season. So he was already hitting scoreboards, and he's maintained that goals per game sort of ratio pretty much throughout his entire career, and has just always had big moments in big impact in big moments, as you can see in his very first season.
I love just seeing the body shapes of how hard these guys have worked at their craft. So now he's just a big beast of a player that they can't tackle, and he's worked so hard at his game. And they work harder than other players to get to that point.
Well, you wouldn't say he doesn't pressure or he's not solid in the contest now, would you? Because that's been a staple of his game for so many years. And Damo, you mentioned impactful in big moments, none more so than 2016 finals series where he was
20 years age.
Unbelievable. Yeah. 20 years of age, absolutely. But we were talking before about he doesn't need to have high possessions to be impactful. He just is so good with what he does. He can have mid-20s or low 20s and be the best player on the ground by hitting the scoreboard, making sure he's involved in passages of score. And
this sealed the prelim final.
Absolutely, it did. And this was that game. That was still one of the games of the last decade for me. But he was so pivotal in that team's drive to the grand final. And, of course, he was rewarded with the ultimate success, which I think was so well-deserving of that group because they had an unbelievable group.
And, Browny, when you go back and watch that game, you could mount the case very strongly and loudly that he was the Norm Smith medalist.
Absolutely.
To take nothing away from Jason Johannesson, who was...
There was a few on that day. He was one of them.
He was great.
And he hasn't had much controversy, but the Giants, for whatever reason, have gone after him. And under Leon Cameron, this is an eye gouge here with Toby Green. So then he got Haynes, didn't he, Damo?
The Giants hated that moment for whatever... I mean, for the reasons that are obvious, but they've always held it against him. And then Haynes took the coin toss the next game.
And then this was in COVID, so they were even going after him where there's not one person in the stadium, but they were still going after Marcus Bontempelli.
Where's the safe distancing?
Yeah, so it was something that I think this rivalry was the number one rivalry at this point in time around Marcus Bontempelli.
He didn't take a backward step either, did he, in all those? And there's just some of the highlights. You love watching him, and he's deceptively quick, Bontempelli. So he looks like he lopes, but I've never seen anyone drag him down from behind. He is, I'm not going to say lightning, but he's just got this smooth moving ability to not be tackled. And have a look at this one. This is what he does on a regular basis. 2, 3 on 1, and be able to move his body. And the fact that he did get sounded out at an early age for not putting pressure on Llordo is outstanding, because that's exactly what he does now. He is a beast of a player.
And I love, Rory made a fantastic point around him before we came on, and that's he doesn't need to have the disposals that other players have.
Yep.
Like, he can have 20 and still be the best man on the ground, because every disposal hurts you, where there's a lot of accumulation in the game.
Genuinely the number one player, I think, ever at the Western Bulldogs. And we talk about Ted Whitten and we talk about how good he was, but what Marcus Bontempelli has done at 29 years of age, I think stands above everything else.
He'd have to be the best kick and decision maker in the game too. He kicks to space, not to a player. And what I mean by that is whenever there's a hole for a forward, he will make the forward lead to that space. He's so well balanced in every aspect of the game.
And if ever a player deserved to finish his career with a Brownlow, it's this bloke, because he's come so close on a couple of occasions. The first being in 2021, where he was runner-up to Ollie Wines.
And look at the numbers of votes he's got. 33 to lose. Yeah.
So he lost by 3 in the end. Then in 2023, he was second to Lachie Neale, losing by only 2 votes.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's not a mortgage on Brownlows, right? But you would say that there are certain footballers in the game who've gone through their careers and haven't won Brownlows that probably deserve to.
He's definitely.
And I hope, well, it ain't over yet, but you would hope that we're not putting him in that category by career's end.
It's going to be hard this year, isn't it? He missed the first 5 games with injury, as good as the last 4 matches he's played.
We're going to a break, but he's out of contract. How many years can you see the Dogs get? Could he get a 5-year deal still, or was that too many at his age?
Oh, I think he's worth every bit of the 5 years at 29,
Great stuff, Llordo. Bring on next week. We'll bring on the next segment right after this on the Sunday Footy Show.
Let's get into this next game. Gold Coast up against the Western Bulldogs in Darwin, and Ben King kicked the winner late. He kicked 3 goals, 3 Rioli, Anderson and Miller do what they always did. Rioli was great off half-back. So too was Noble. But I want to talk about the Western Bulldogs. They came home late, Rory, on the back of Ed Richards and Fraser getting a fair bit of football out of the middle.
They came home with 5 goals 3 in the last term, and they only really lost by 4 points. That last goal to King on the siren blew it out to 10. But their mids were incredibly good again. They've got such depth in there. You mentioned those two boys, but Tom Liberatore, again, he's one of my favourite midfielders in the comp at the moment. He had the triple-double of footy, 10 clearances, 10 tackles and 16 contested possessions. So triple-double of football, Llordo.
So who do you have more confidence in, Browny, moving forward, the Dogs or the Suns?
I still think the West Coast the Western Bulldogs. Tom Liberatore, Noble, career best form at the moment. Anderson and Ed Richards just for the Western Bulldogs. I still need to see the Suns play good opposition away from their home ground.
Rory, tell us about the Bombers.
Yeah, the Bombers were great. They started off, their start is what got them the win here. We know Sydney, as we touched on, came home strong and missed some opportunities, but I thought it was Caddy's, one of Caddy's better games that I've seen for him. And not only himself, Zach Reid, Llordo, was incredibly good down back.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see Reid be all at sea. He's only played 16 AFL games, but remember him and Mackay and the criticism early when they played the Adelaide Crows, and the Bombers conceded 161 points early in that game, but he's now reading it really well. His body's standing up for him.
Looks like he's played 80 games, Llordo.
He does. So he was sensational yesterday. He did everything. 27 disposals. They just kept kicking it to him. I think that's the problem for the Swans, is there's no one that even threatens a young kid. With 16 games of footy down there.
Yeah, that's right. And he got some votes, so did Dick Martin too, and Caddy and Redmond were all outstanding in setting up that victory for him.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard, because Zach Merritt wouldn't have got votes last night. Nick Dacos, 49, didn't get votes the other night. Nazai Wanganeen Miller had just 1 vote behind. Connor O'Zee, maximum votes. Zach Merritt spoken about. Dangerfield having a great season. And Lockie Neal gets to play today against the Kangaroos. And the winner of the Lou Richards medal in 2025 will drive away in the Lexus LBX 2-wheel drive luxury model, thanks to Lexus of Blackburn, valued at $55,502. That includes all on-road costs and 12 months of Victorian registration. Have a look at that. Lexus of Blackburn. They've been a big supporter of the Sunday Footy Show, and that's part of the best prize pack in the business, Lexus of Blackburn.
Certainly is, not to mention the handball, which will be coming up a little later on as well. And 3 matches, as you indicated, to complete the round today. We'll look at those as well. But in the meantime, we'll take a break. When we come back, it's Brownie's quiz, and the theme today is...
The theme today is draft picks, I think. No,
it's not actually. It's not actually. We'll take a break and we'll work it out.
Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. Time for everybody's favourite segment, which used to be segment number 3, by the way, but now segment 6, Brownie's Quiz, brought to you by Sportsbet. $500 on the line, and a big shout out to you, Tony Barbar. Okay, who are you playing for?
A horse called Barbar won yesterday. Michael Grace in Keilor, East Victoria.
Tina King in Chindra, New South Wales.
I'm playing for Sam Alexander from Gilberton in South Australia.
And I'm playing for Jonathan Joquera from Sunshine in Victoria.
OK, so it's all about matchups. So the two sides playing each other this weekend. They've had some famous moments over the years. So we'll get into question number 1. Which swingman was drafted pick 8 to Collingwood, moved to Fremantle and finished his career back at Collingwood?
Cankles. Chris Tarrant?
Chris Tarrant is right. Absolutely good start, Tony. In 2000, which future St Kilda captain was traded to the club from Carlton?
What year?
2000. He's still at St Kilda now. Big guy.
What, playing?
Aaron Hamill.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Well, why didn't you say it?
Oh, because I thought you'd pick on me.
You said future captain. Well, he was never captain, was he?
Yes.
Yeah, I should have got that.
Which form... Yes, you should have.
Actually, can you Google that?
I don't know if he was.
Which former Melbourne... which former Melbourne and Hawthorn ruckman kicked the goal from the centre square when playing...
Bananas, mate. Patrick?
Yes. That's his first name. Jack Fitzpatrick, absolutely, Llordo.
Okay.
Famous faces. So on this board, there's pluses everywhere. There's only 1 -3 and 1 -1.
I'll go microphone head.
Microphone, it's Spindleshanks. And a plus 3. That is good, Llordo. 2005, Aaron Hamill was captain, I believe. Which Bomber defender played on after the siren against Sydney
Bananas,
in 2012?
Mate. Courtney Dempsey.
Courtney Dempsey is right, and for a bonus point, everybody back in. Which Swans player?
Damo's the key.
Dane Rampy.
Absolutely. Climb the post. Well done, Damo. You've been looking at these?
No, I was at the game and he climbed the post.
Damo, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
You get one and you're accused of cheating.
It's a pretty famous moment.
Yours are just so far between.
Do you want to follow my tactic and not answer?
Question number 5. Which former Bulldog played 192 games for the Gold Coast Suns?
Bananas,
mate. Jared Harbrow, Llordo.
Good get, Llordo.
Question number 6. Who kicked the last goal in the showdown last night?
Damo's antidotes. Finlayson.
Jeremy Finlayson, absolutely.
Nice.
Famous faces. Who injured their shoulder in the 2019 preliminary final for Richmond?
Damo's the key.
Bananas, mate.
-1, Damo.
Jack Graham.
Jack Graham is right. Another pick of the board, Llordo.
Look at Llordo, 7.
Yeah, I'll go Phillips, the bomber.
Phillips.
Yeah, just there.
Yep.
Wow.
You can't lose.
+1. That is
Cannot
good.
lose.
Which Geelong defender finished his career with 1 year at the Giants? Big stocky left footer.
Bananas, mate.
Josh Hunt, that is correct.
Now you can't.
Yeah.
No, he can't. I don't think so. That's question number 7. Let's
He's happy with himself.
Yeah, look at him.
Question number 9.
Bobbleheads back.
You've had a good show, haven't you? You found out that Lloyd Meek was named after you.
Right.
Yeah.
He took me down in what caught my eye.
Yes, he did. No, you're pretty happy with
Question 9. Jared Polek was part of the go-home 5 from Brisbane. For 2 points, name 2 of the other 4.
Damo's antidotes, North and Port.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know what you said. I thought it was 2
It
clubs.
was Doherty
Doherty was one.
and Billy Longer.
Billy Longer was the other. He could have gone with Elliot Yeo and Patrick Carnizes.
Llordo.
Right.
Llordo,
I
this
wanna
is
go for
unprecedented.
111.
Yeah, we know what you're on.
I'll go Billy. Is that Frampton down the bottom?
It is.
Yeah.
Billy Frampton.
One of 3.
Big Billy. -1. And for those playing at home, Schultz had the mute. That's right. Run on the -3. Stevie J.
Sorry,
Steele.
Nathan, who had the run on?
And James Frawley.
Nathan, who had the run on?
So question number 10, who am I? Question number 10, -1, Tony.
Why?
I
Is this worth 11 points?
Yeah, I played for 2 clubs for 5 points.
Oh, come, that's not a
Damo's the
clue.
key.
Ben Cousins.
Absolutely, Damien. Gets 5, but Llordo with a massive number 10. G'day to Benny Cousins out there. What a superstar he was as well. But $500 going whose way, Llordo?
It's going to Sam Alexander from Gilberton.
Sammy Alexander, $500 coming your way. If you want to enter, wwws.9.com.au/Brownies quiz to join in the frivolity.
I would love to know the odds of you getting that. I mean,
When he
given
said they were matchups, I remember you were talking about before about the West Coast Richmond game today. I thought Ben Cousins has to be an answer somewhere
all
today.
related to this round.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I said that. If you had been
Sandra
listening.
Sully over here, the late news.
Oh, you're probably texting Hugh,
Really?
You're probably texting Hugh Nayland. Oh, Hugh, what am I going to do tonight?
I was actually Googling Aaron Hamill. Yes, 2005 he was captain.
Really?
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Sunday Footy Show. We'll be back right after this. You are watching 10 Slate News.
I'm Will Ashcroft's #1 fan. My name's Becky and I'm also his mum. This is you, Will, at 2 years of age with the football. You were umpiring, playing and commentating.
For some reason, always loved the commentary.
Yes.
I might play my own game of myself, but pretty cool to look back at this video.
Even at 2, he knew that the umpires were calling play on, and because in this video you're calling play on to yourself when you pick it up, and he's been a student of the game since this time, so we're on a path all the way back since then. Our relationship's unconditional, so he knows even if I do have some sort of negative feedback to give him, it's always with love, so...
I usually take it well.
Yeah,
usually.
he does, usually.
I'm Will Ashcroft, and Becky is my #1 fan.
That's great, isn't it? So great to have Yui back on board there with the first of our #1 fan series there. So before we get to Damo's agenda, text messages have been running pretty hot.
Yes, I did get one saying whoever's clicking their pen throughout the show, needs a lesson on television. And I looked around. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. And
can't be me.
He went red. So he's just swapped pens. Wrote a note in his diary to say never do that again.
I've got a little life lessons on TV, and that's in there now.
Yeah.
No pen clickers.
Yeah, it'd be a big.
Apologies, everyone.
Damien Barrett.
I'll share it with you one day, TJ.
I need to read it, mate. Damien Barrett standing by with his agenda.
With the agenda, yeah, TJ. The AFL will endeavour to sharpen its in-game protocols surrounding concussed players after the really bad look of Lachie Schultz making his own way off the ground after this hard hit with Jordan Clark on Thursday night. Now, the game ideally would have been stopped, maybe not in that exact moment, but certainly when this play was stopped naturally a few moments later. And these bits of vision of Lachie coming off the ground is not what the AFL wants, and is what meant to happen. So there will be a crackdown on that. There'll be, I'd imagine, memos going out all week just for the authorities. And even the ARC, Rory, there is scope within game for them to relay messages to the umpires, and the systems broke down.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd love to see a bit more care taken, I suppose. But the other point I want to make on this too is the sub rule. I think side bottom was taken off just prior to this. I'd love teams to be able to have the capability to be able to send their sub back on in the instances of a concussion. I don't know your guys' thoughts, but for me, that was a bad look. It'd be great to send a player back on.
That's not such a bad idea, is it?
Just the loophole. That's the only problem with it. How clubs could potentially try and
contort it.
Only in concussion, though. That's what has to only be in concussion.
And the clubs want there to be the total removal of the sub and just to have 5 players accessible on the interchange.
Ross Lyon was pushing that narrative this week, wasn't he? With the support of Fremantle, I think.
Yeah, he's got support of a lot of clubs. Will be talked about again. Guys, we're just going to play this because I don't think anyone on the panel agrees or believes that Zach Merritt should go for this hit on Nick Blakey. I certainly don't. And he has been cleared of the major ramifications of the HIA that the Swans put Blakey through. I think there's a similarity, Llordo, potentially from what Rory Lobb and Mason Cox had. Lobb, you remember, punched Mason Cox in the football moment. Slightly different. There's no two like incidents weeks apart, but that was deemed to be a football act in the act of football. I think that is as well.
He hits the ball and he's trying to tap it over the top, hits the ball, hits the player as well. So move on.
Yep. Browny, Cody Waitman, I know you're a massive fan, and he's missed all of this season to this point, and it's unlikely that he plays. And if he does, it's going to be very late in 2025. So he's had a knee, he then had a quad problem, and now there's been a recurrence of the knee problem. It's a sad thing for him from a footy sense, and it's obviously a setback to the Bulldogs, who are on a roll, but also without Jamari Ugle-Hagan, and for the moment, and for some time yet, Sam Darcy.
It's a huge setback. I think he'll be back better than ever next season. I don't think there's any reason to rush him back. Really bad injuries. You're a young man trying to make... He's had multiple injuries. Obviously his elbow as well a couple of years ago. So I think just put him on ice for this season. If you're trying to rush him back around 22, 23, get him in for finals, is he going to be able to play the football the Dogs need him to in a final series?
It's been a spate of ACL damage at Essendon. Nick Bryan was one, and then the ruckman Sam Draper's done an Achilles as well. But this was a first gamer yesterday. Lewis Hayes of the Bombers, Llordo, drafted in 2022, and unfortunately it was going okay in this first game, but as we speak they are yet to confirm the severity of it, but there is fear that it is a bad one.
I'm just devastated for him. You know, the club asked me if I could present his jumper to him yesterday. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there to do it, but because of the coaching commitment. But I've followed him, and I've been hoping and desperate to see the number 18 play. It's taken him 2 years to get a game. He was doing an outstanding job yesterday, and unfortunately, the knee buckled underneath him, so he's got another year on the sidelines. So it's a cruel game. You have more lows than highs in football, and it's certainly the case for him at the moment, but he'll bounce back hard.
All right, Damo, good work. Damo's agenda there. We'll take a break. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. 3 matches to complete this round. You'll be heading down the highway after the show.
Geelong up against the Giants. That's a ripping game.
Yeah, cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for your views. That's all coming up next. And we'll catch up with another footy mum.
Make the most of the cooler months with a winter retreat at Langham Hotels and Resorts. In Melbourne, Sydney or the Gold Coast, enjoy a room upgrade, buffet breakfast for 2, bottle of sparkling and late checkout. The Langham Melbourne, a proud supporter of the Sunday Footy Show.
Welcome back. You are watching the Sunday Footy Show. 3 games to complete this round of football today, and one you can say is a mini blockbuster. The other 2 are pretty intriguing. Let's start with one of those, Richmond and West Coast.
Richmond, West Coast, MCG. So this is a very winnable game for the Tigers, and they've got North Melbourne after that. So they should be able to beat the West Coast Eagles the way they've been playing. So I'm going to back in the Tigers today.
Same for me, TJ. The second game we're going to look at is Geelong.
We'll do that in a moment, but plenty of mums at the MCG today, including one who's with our own Jess Webster.
Thanks so much, TJ. Yes, I am here with a very, very special guest indeed. It is, of course, Jess Taranto, the lovely mum of Richmond star Tim. Jess, thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope Tim's got some very nice things planned for you today, but it must be nice to have him back in Victoria the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been amazing actually. Sydney was wonderful and not too far away, but when Tim first moved back to Melbourne, he actually lived 5 minutes down the road from me. So it was so nice being able to catch up with him outside of football for a cup of tea or just a chat, walk the dog. It's been really nice having him back.
Amazing. And I guess, as a parent, you would ride the highs and lows of a professional AFL footballer's career. And the last couple of years, Tim has, copped a bit of criticism as well. How does that make you feel as a parent?
Yeah, it's part of the job. I guess you learn that pretty early on, that the media and they talk them up a lot of the time when they do well, but they can also be quite critical if they make some mistakes. So that's hard. I've had to cut out social media and cut out reading the papers. That's the only way that I can get through. But I do get sent all the really good articles from my dad because he makes sure I get to read the good stuff. But I just love it. I love having him home. I love that he gets to play football and live his dream. And if listening to the media is a little part of the job, then that's okay.
He speaks so glowingly of his relationship with you and how inspired he is of you and everything that you've had to sacrifice for him to live out his dream. Can you give us an insight into the bond that the two of you have?
Yeah, so I was quite young when I had Tim. I was 16, and I think because of that we grew up together a little bit. We've always been really good friends. We hang out a lot. He always played sport right from when he was little, so most of my weekends when my friends were out and about, I was off driving Tim around to basketball and football. So we have a very close relationship. I love him very much. I feel very lucky.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. You're such a super mum as well. What have you got planned for the rest of the day? Obviously watching a big game here at the G. Has Tim got anything planned for you a little later on?
Well, I met him early this morning. We had a nice breakfast together and got to hang out for a bit. I've got a Richmond function after this that I'll go and talk to some of the other mums, and then obviously watch the game, and then I'll spend some time with my mum who's here cheering me on.
Amazing. Yes, Diane's just off in the background here. Hello. Thank you so much for your time this morning. You're an absolute super mum, and congratulations on everything, and your relationship with Tim is obviously beautiful, and we love to see it. And we do have some gifts for you, some flowers and a hamper thanks to Dilma. So thanks so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone.
Oh, that is fantastic. What a great story. And what a great mum. And the relationship between Tim and his mum is quite special, isn't it?
Some fantastic answers there, weren't there?
Yeah,
A whole range of topics,
Yeah, I loved it. I loved
seeing so many clubs look after their mums on these sort of days too, with functions and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I was at St Kilda during the week, and they put on a lunch for the players and their mums. And for our Melbourne viewers, on 9 News tonight, there's the story with Mitch Owens and his mum, Micah.
Japanese.
Yeah, anyway, and that's a beautiful relationship as well. I will get her name right during the story. But, that's coming up tonight on 9 News. What's coming up at Cardinia Park?
It's a great game of football, and will the Giants finally wake up and get their season right? I don't think they will. I think Geelong will be too good at home, but despite the record the Giants do.
I was going to say, they do love that ground, but I'm the same. Geelong win that one, Damo, and North Melbourne played Brisbane down in Tassie, and I think Brisbane really need to make a statement in this game too and just go hard and smash this one out of the park. Will the two fly? I think they possibly have 2 flights. Not sure if they got a chartered one. Will that hinder them at all? Not sure, but they'll definitely win that one.
Right, Marky is Mitch's mum's name. Marky. Alrighty, animal fact now is Dr. Damo.
You know whether to present this as an illustration of what goes on social media, TJ, or an illustration of what goes on in the media industry, particularly at venue. We'll go with both, or either, whichever one takes your fancy. But you can see how tough people can be when there's a wall between them, or the computer, be sitting behind the computer, but then there's no computer and you're face to face. Nothing to see here, good bloke, and then the wall gets closed in again, and the glass wall of the media industry, and we'll go at it again.
Is that symbolic of anyone in particular? Yeah,
is that you and David King?
Well, maybe it is after what you showed before.
Maybe it is. Anyway, we'll hear more about that tomorrow morning, I'm sure. Hey, as we go to the break, just a reminder about a little later on tonight, check your local guides. It is Footy Furnace time. That's right. 3 of the biggest names in football. That man, Jimmy Bartell, James Hird, and also the biggest newsbreaker in the game, Tom Morris. That's all coming up. One of the biggest newsbreakers in the game. Sorry, Damo. That's all coming up.
He's got it covered.
He certainly has. He's a great man. He's a great newsbreaker, and that's a great show. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. Again, to all the mums, hope you've been enjoying yourself. A bit of a shout out also to our mums in the makeup department here and also in the control room who've given up their Mother's Day morning to be with us here to make us look good.
Absolutely. Kat's going to watch her daughter play soccer at 1 o'clock today.
Yes. And
good luck to Kat's daughter.
Yeah, all right, terrific stuff. And you're looking resplendent. So you're off to a wedding or something, aren't you?
No. We're down at the highway, Geelong up against the Giants today, so heading down there. Can't wait for that Triple M footy.
Can't wait for the handball as well. We spoke with Lloyd Meek a little earlier on in the program, but Cooper Sharman, we welcome you back to the program. Last year you were on?
Yeah, I was, about a year ago now.
Yeah, all right, good stuff.
And he's a good handballer. Did you go close to winning the whole thing?
Yeah, I did win it, actually.
He's back for more.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, the pressure's right on.
Hey, what did you make of Friday night? Sitting back there, I thought, why aren't St Kilda taking the game on more to try and win this? I thought Carlton were a bit vulnerable with their injuries, but it just was a slow sort of pace game for both teams.
It was a bit, yeah. I know we wanted to be quite aggressive with the ball on offence and just didn't sort of fall our way. In the end, Carlton defended really well and full credit to them, but yeah, just in the end, didn't have enough to get it done.
And Cooper, the pre-match ceremony, acknowledgement and celebration of Danny Frawley and the messaging around mental health, just the way it unfolded with Chelsea speaking and Tom Boyd and the engagement of the crowd on the video screens and the players about to play the game of footy. It was as well as it could have possibly been done, I thought. I imagine you, having lived through it, felt the same?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a special moment, to honour Spud's legacy and everyone else that's been affected by mental health. And for everyone to be arm in arm around that centre circle at the start, it was quite special. And then, I suppose we set out to honour Spud's legacy with really great effort throughout the game, and I believe we did that.
Chelsea did a great job. There's no doubt about that, as she does her sisters and also their mum Anita. But what about Tom Boyd?
Tom Boyd was great,
was
absolutely fantastic, great talker, absolutely. Your form, personally, last couple of weeks been outstanding. Is this the best form you've been in? You were taking mark after mark the week before, looking really nice.
Yeah, it probably is. I feel really confident at the moment. We've been moving the ball quite well, which helps the last couple of weeks. As a forward, it dictated to how, I suppose, the ball's coming out of stoppage and in transition around the ground. And, we've got some damaging halfbacks and midfielders that really help that supply. And, it's been really good lately.
And how do you iron out those inconsistencies we've seen across the year and just become a really consistent team for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, it has been a big focus for us. We know we're a young group and those inconsistencies are going to come about. But Ross is just preaching that 100% effort every week, and it'll give us our best chance of winning each and every week,
All right, it is Mother's Day. Your mum's back home at Leeton, is she?
She's actually down here in Melbourne today. So,
she's here?
Yeah, I'll be catching up with her later this afternoon. Yeah, so see the family this afternoon.
Right, that's quite the hairstyle, isn't it?
Yeah, my hope.
And this is your mum?
Yeah, there's Shaz. Yeah, we did a Mother's Day training. Every year we do a Father's Day training, and this year the mums were a bit flat that they didn't get to come out and take part in training. So instead of a dinner, they came into the club, and it was good. Got to get around them all during the week.
Oh, that is fantastic. Now, of course, both of your mums will be taking home this fantastic Dilmar Mother's Day hamper. Dilmar do a magnificent job in, they're just huge supporters of My Room and Australia's biggest morning tea, which is coming up. You can register online for that, biggestmorningtea.com.au. And, of course, your mum has got one of those hampers, hasn't she?
Absolutely. Mother's Day last year, so happy Mother's Day to Mum. You're going to get a couple of tea sets again today. But the best prize...
Hang on, did you have his mum on Triple M on Friday night?
We did, and she was talking about how Nathan got her some beautiful teacups last year. We just had to destroy that magical moment and tell her that he stole them from the footy show.
Very nice.
Make sure you grab your box before he gets
Thanks to Dilmar. Very, very good people. But you've won this before. This is the best prize pack in the business. And this prize first First up is the Temper mattress. This is the best mattress in the business. It goes into 0G, which is where they take off for astronauts when they go into space. This is unbelievable. It goes up, it goes down. So what you do,
Bit like you when you played.
Restful sleep. Jason Nicholas and the team. Jason Nicholas, he is a wonderful man out there at Temper. The pillows, the blankets and everything. So you sleep well at night, but then you go out and you play golf during the day. Now, you can play golf at night as well. A full set of elite golf clubs for our top mates at Callaway, under lights, silly, along with a custom fitting Callaway HQ. Total prize value of around $15,000, which our man has won before. But I tell you what, Big Lloyd, he's after that bed.
I've only known one man flat with getting a Temper, and that is you, because I can see, because you paid full quota.
We did.
What happened?
Well, I don't live my life trying to get stuff for nothing, all right? So
you
I'm
don't
happy.
pay for much. Or you avoid paying for anything.
You skipped out in the bill at platform 28.
Yeah,
oh, come on.
$11.
I paid full whack for my Temper, and I'm glad I did, because I'm not committed. I'm not wedded to anyone. But I do want to give a shout out to the guys who came and delivered it, Seaton and also Bailey. And Seaton, a huge fan of the Sunday Footy Show, and I said it'd be better without Nathan. He said, "No, I'm a Tigers man. I love Nathan."
Yeah. Seaton and Bailey, well done. Temper, what a great prize this is. Move the target,
Browny. Yeah, I know. The producer was yelling in my ear then.
All right. Can he go back to back?
I would say unlikely.
Rough start.
7.
Come on, Coop. Lift.
Wow.
Give it some heat. 7.
19.
5.
24.
Wow.
7.
31. It could come back. All right, Meek.
In the slips.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
7.
Yours, Damo.
7. 14.
Power. What about the power?
7.
21.
You're right, Damo.
He's going to fight.
7. 28.
Dangerous.
Very consistent. 35.
This might be a tight finish.
Front and centre, Damo.
Come on, Cooper. Come on. Handball.
Do not shirk one, Damo.
Bullseye.
7.
38.
7.
45,
7.
52.
7.
59.
It's nice, isn't it? Off the rebounder.
And 7.
You nearly took out Damo.
66.
66.
You need 32 to win.
That's it.
45.
7.
52.
5.
57.
7.
Nice. Moves to 64. Just needs to hit the board, really.
7.
7 moves to 71. Damien.
Back away, Damo. Back away.
You're pretty silly.
Did not take one cleanly, Damien.
That's clean.
Anyway, our winner for today is Lloyd Meek. Well done, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. Congratulations. Cooper, great to see you again. Don't be a stranger. And to both of your mums, have great Mother's Days. And don't forget the hamper there. Get it before Nathan knocks it off with his mum. All right, that does wrap it up for this edition of the Sunday Footy Show. To all the mums out there, enjoy the rest of the day. Hope you're spending it with loved ones. And if you're not, we're certainly thinking of you.
Absolutely. And may the sun shine on all the mothers today.